One other thing I'll be doing very early in the administration is closing up the Department of Education in Washington, D.C., and sending all education and education work and needs back to the states. We want them to run the education of our children because they'll do a much better job of it. You can't do worse.
It's a promise we heard President-elect Trump say time and time again on the campaign trail, that he would dismantle the Department of Education. Now, with Republicans leading the Senate and the House, it could be one step closer to reality. Let's bring in Nicole Neily, founder of Parents Defending Education, a nonprofit dedicated to fighting political indoctrination in the classroom, to discuss just how possible that is. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So first I want to ask Nicole, do you think we will end up seeing an end to the education department?
I think there are a lot of things on President Trump's agenda right now, and this is a pretty big step. Let's remember, this is something that cannot be done overnight because there are still grant funds that have to go out. There are programs that have to be executed. There are investigations that have to be concluded. And so I think this is something that is kind of a long-term program, but in the short term, the day-to-day operations of the department are absolutely going to take place. And I think we're going to see some major policy shifts in that time period.
So what kind of impact would that have on our students here in this country?
Well, I think, America's education system is not in great shape right now. And even prior to the pandemic was not doing very well. And so I think for a lot of people, their first priority is making sure that the learning loss from the COVID school closures is actually remediated. And that, again, the temperature in a lot of these classrooms is dialed down. So I think we'll see a resolution to the Title IX fight, which has been looming over many districts and parents over the country for the past 2 years. But this is something that, there'll be a lot of rulemaking. We'll see grant programs revised from having a focus on things like identity politics more towards civics. The nation's sesquicentennial is coming up, and I know that's going to be a big priority for President Trump's agenda as well.
As we look at his cabinet picks, Trump has not yet announced his Secretary of Education pick. It could possibly be the last person to hold that role, but what is he looking for?
I think, it's very hard to predict what the president is going to end up doing. It seems that loyalty is a top priority, but also somebody who is willing and able to fight the fights as needed and will not back down. And so, the teachers' unions are a major obstacle. And so we'll see somebody, who has the guts to take that on and the credibility to actually convince people that this is not an elimination of rights and that the quality of children's education won't diminish, but actually will improve as power is devolved, if it is possible to do so, down to the state and the local level.
I want to ask you here, Nicole, what's your opinion on this, on the Department of Education possibly being gone in our country in a matter of months, maybe a few years?
It absolutely is not going to be in a few months. I think we have a crisis in trust in government overall. We have seen the Department of Education, the CDC work hand in glove with teachers unions to keep schools closed for a long time. And so I think there's not a lot of trust in leadership and bureaucracy overall. And so I think parents either need to see results or they're going to start to walk. We've seen a massive exodus towards private school options. That's something that the president has also set as a priority. And so to the extent that families are able to, and I do emphasize able to, get off of the support of public schools, government-supported schools, I think it'll allow families to make better choices that better suit their needs.
So according to the Program for International Student Assessment, in 2022, American students performed behind other countries in subjects like math and reading. And those other countries include Singapore, Japan, Canada, so many other nations. There's a real good graphic just comparing us to other countries. How do we change this moving forward, Nicole?
Well, one of President Trump's priorities has been to de-emphasize equity and to bring merit and excellence back into the classroom. I think that's a real concern for many families we've spoken to. We've worked with the House Education Committee actually this summer to launch the Congressional Merit Caucus to focus on that and to really step away and stop spending as much time and as many resources on DEI policies, but really to encourage excellence in reading and math. I mean, we've seen from coast to coast programs like Equitable Math de-emphasizing finding the right answer, showing your work, and things like that are of real concern because they do have long-lasting impacts, both in student lives as well in our national competitiveness.
I want to go back to something you said. Trump has said he's a supporter of universal school choice programs. That includes allowing those public funds we talked about to be used towards private schools. There are already a number of states offering school choice to parents. Do you now expect that number to go up under the Trump administration?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I think we're going to see a two-tier strategy where some of the states that have been holdouts like Texas, we will see in the short term choice programs expand there. Some of the programs where it might be a limited ESA might end up becoming more of a universal choice program. But I do know that there is also an effort to enact national level school choice through Congress. And I think with the Republicans controlling both chambers, that's looking like it's not totally out of the realm of possibilities. And so I think it's kind of anybody's game at this point.
I couldn't agree with you more there. Nicole Neily, founder of Parents Defending Education. Thank you so much, Nicole.
Thank you.